Hello and welcome to the Deception Tips podcast, where you will learn amazing cues to detect deceit that will help you read people like never before. I'm your host, Spencer Kaufman. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 58 of the Deception Tips podcast. Thank you for your continued listening. I need a favor from you. I need some people to write some reviews. If you're still listening, if you've been listening all along, or if this is your first time, please check out iTunes or iHeartRadio or wherever you're listening and leave a review on there telling people that, hey, you know, the Deception Tips podcast is pretty cool, it's very knowledgeable, I enjoy it, I listen all the time, whatever the case may be. Take 5 minutes, pop on a review, and you can also review the Deception Tips ebook or the Deception Tips Revised and Expanded Edition book because the content is very similar. That will really help other people learn about how to read people and detect deception. I'm convinced that if we can get thousands of people across the United States and then hopefully millions across the world to learn how to read people and detect deception, then our politicians, our bosses, our salesmen, all these people would tell fewer lies. Why? Because they would know that there's no point in lying because people are going to see through it. People are going to know when they are telling the truth or not. Therefore, they're going to start telling the truth because otherwise they'll never get anywhere. So if we can have more people understand the truth and know how to read people and detect deception, then I think that the world could become a better place. Now, how do we get more people? Well, reviews will certainly help. The more reviews something has, the more people will give more consideration when trying to buy it. You know this to be true when you take a look at Amazon and you see something's got 1,000 reviews and you're like, wow, they're pretty good reviews. Or you take a look at another thing, oh, it's got 3 reviews. I'm going to buy the one with 1,000 reviews. You do that. People do that. So if there are reviews, people will listen, people will learn. Help me out. Let's get some reviews. All right, thank you. Today, we've got a deception tip that is related to the head and neck area. But before we dive into that, I'm going to recap our last week's episode because it was very important. There was a lot going on there, and it also had about 10 other episodes that I touched on, all built up to that one. So it was asymmetrical expressions. Basically, when a symmetrical expression happens on the face, it means that there is a truthful emotion. So, in contrast, when there is an asymmetrical expression, that means that it is not truthful. It's not symmetrical. So it's more on one side of the face than the other. Remember that it's probably going to be more on the left side of the face than the other because the right brain is more dominant in false emotions. Now, I encourage you, if this is your first time listening and you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to it. Then get a piece of paper while you're listening, jot down all the other mentions of previous episodes, and check those out. Now, whether you want to listen to the full podcast or you want to watch the video on YouTube is up to you, but I encourage you to do that so you get a good idea of what's going on. We talked about asymmetrical expression, symmetrical expressions, congruent body language, non-congruent, symmetrical gestures, simultaneous gestures, all those were mentioned. Left side of the face was mentioned. We also mentioned the ankles backing away and then the arm folding cluster. So there were a whole bunch of stuff that we kind of recapped in that little episode. So make sure you check all those others out to get a firm knowledge of what's going on and how to read people and detect deception so that you will know if someone is lying to you, because it is very important. If people know that you can see through that and you can read them and you understand the truth, then they will do a lot less to lie to you. They will purposely try to lie to you, then you're going to see through it, or they're going to realize there's no point in lying, so they will tell the truth. That is the ideal. That is what we're striving for. So anyway, today we're talking about a different sign of deception on the head and neck region. It has to do with something that is more prevalent in men than women. However, still some women have this. Hopefully you kind of know what we're talking about. It is the Adam's apple. Men have usually a larger Adam's apple than women. Some women have an Adam's apple. Well, they all have it, but some women have it more visible than others. Usually all men have it visible. In case you are not familiar with what an Adam's apple is, it is that little lump in your throat the visible knob on your neck. It's that little raised box that's there. You can see it move and jump. So we're going to be talking about that and what it does when people lie. So here it is. This is deception tip 58. When detecting deception, watch the Adam's apple. It may jump or move irregularly when someone is lying. Here it is again, deception tip 58. When detecting deception, watch the Adam's apple. It may jump or move irregularly when someone is lying. So what does this mean? Well, when someone is talking to you, or when you're speaking with someone, interviewing them or interrogating them, or casual conversation, pay attention to not only their face and their body language and everything else, but watch their neck. Watch that Adam's apple. And normally when people are speaking in fluid motion, that Adam's apple just moves with their throat. It moves with their neck. It moves with all the different tendons and ligaments and everything that's down there. But if they tell a lie, you may see that all of a sudden that little Adam's apple will start moving around or bobbing or jumping, or it'll skip. Kind of like, remember in that old movie Snow White, when they're singing and that one guy is singing that yodeling type thing, and you see his Adam's apple going up and down like crazy, and there's Dopey kind of watching it go up and down. Check that out. That's what I'm saying. If someone is lying, their Adam's apple might jump all over the place like that. So we're going to talk a lot more about this, but first we got to take a break, so it'll be coming up right after this.
Tired of being lied to day in and day out? Want to learn how to spot a liar? Get the revised and expanded edition of the Deception Tips ebook on SpencerKaufman.com.
Welcome back to Deception Tip number 58. My name is Spencer Kaufman. I'm bringing you all of these deception tips so that you can know how to read people, detect deception, and understand the truth. Today we are talking about a sign of deception that happens on the neck area. Again, it's mostly predominant in men than women because men have a larger Adam's apple. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the Adam's apple and how when someone lies, it may jump or move irregularly when they're telling this lie. Why does it do that? Well, because when we're speaking naturally, we're speaking normally, we let it out. We're telling a story, we're talking in conversation. Usually what's happening is something called free flow. So it's free-flowing speech. This means that as you're thinking of it, you're also saying it. It's just coming right out. However, when someone lies, usually they're rehearsing a story. Therefore, they've got their plan already done. They've got an outline, or they've got the whole thing memorized. They're rehearsing it. It's like they're delivering a speech, or the lines in a play. They're an actor. Now, that's something that I want to call your attention to, is acting or plays. When people rehearse and memorize their lines or their scripts, then they deliver them in a film or a movie or on stage, that is something, that's why it's called acting, because they're delivering a skill. They're acting, so they need to act truthful when they're delivering those scripts, like it's the truth. They need to get into that role and believe it, so that those signs of deception, those body language things aren't leaked while they are playing this role. They're doing something else. However, usually when they're playing a role, their mind knows that they're not really trying to lie. They're trying to play this role. Therefore, these body language signs will most likely not occur in deception-wise because they know that. It's like a magician on stage. They know that they're trying to fool the people, so it's part of the show. It's not actually lying or deception. There's no malicious intent or cover-up going on. It is part of the show. It is what's supposed to happen. So it's morally okay for it to happen. Therefore, there is no fight or battle between the conscious and the unconscious because there's no moral conflict. So keep that in mind, kind of a cool fact. But this Adam's apple that we're talking about can jump around when someone is lying. Why? Because this conflict is going on. Remember, this story is probably rehearsed or memorized. Therefore, it's not free-flowing speech. So there could be some stuttering, which then would have the Adam's apple go off. Or there could be that, remember, the dry mouth, which then leads to that dry throat, which would jump up and down that Adam's apple because there's a voice cracking down there. We talked about that in episode 53, how the voice will crack because the throat dries up due to dry mouth based upon the stress and tension that is involved in deception or being deceptive. That stress, that tension, it's building up. This is also, again, a cause of the Adam's apple. It's all a root cause is that stress and tension that leads up to all of the deception. Remember that when people lie, the mind is in conflict. There is the conscious and the unconscious. The unconscious is incredibly truthful. It is 100% truthful. It cannot tell a lie. The conscious is deceptive and self-serving. It wants things to go well for the good of oneself. Therefore, it will lie to cover things up. It will lie to do things that will either get them out of trouble, avoid consequences, and the unconscious says, no, we need to be truthful. We have a moral compass, we have a conscience, and there's that constant battle going back and forth. It's a fight to the finish, a fight to the death, where they want the truth to come out, and the conscious says, no, I'm in self-preservation. I want everything to be just fine. I don't want to have any conflict. So they're battling. Now, the unconscious leaks all of these signs of deception so that other people's unconscious can notice it. Now, the problem is that most people do not have the wherewithal to notice this. Therefore, in order to notice it, you need to take these unconscious behaviors and you need to make them conscious. You need to put them in your conscious mind so that you can understand them and learn what they mean and how to read people. You will see how to see them. Now, you're taking these unconscious behaviors, you're putting them in your conscious mind, and you will start to recognize them when they happen on yourself first, which is very important, then on other people. Now you will be able to start detecting deception and reading people, and you'll know what is going on. With this Adam's apple, due to the fact that people who lie are under stress and tension, they may stutter. They may have dry mouth, because remember the fight or flight, where when people are experiencing stress and tension, they're either going to fight or they're going to flee. Therefore, the blood and all of the bodily functions are going out from the core. They're going to the legs, it's going to the arms, the hands, to either fight or run away with the legs, fight or flight. Therefore, things like producing saliva or digestion are all going to be delayed. Therefore, they're going to experience that dry mouth. A part of dry mouth is going to be those licking the lips frequently, which we talked about long ago in a different deception tip, number 32. And then also how we spoke of the dry mouth, which could cause voice cracking due to the throat being dry. That was in episode 53. Now, with that, the Adam's apple is in the throat, so the dry throat and people speaking could cause the voice to crack, which could have the Adam's apple jump. It's basically, you're watching it for little signs of craziness. For example, if you're aware of how drunk people's eyes behave when they are drunk, police do that eye test where they put the pen, okay, go left, go right, go left, go right, follow their pen. Then all of a sudden they're going to do a couple of circles. And if you're watching the drunk's eyes closely, on the circle number 1 or 2, that eye will ping right back into normal instead of tracking with that pen upwards. It's really an interesting experience. If you experience it yourself, it's amazing, because if you're cognizant of experiencing it, that is. If you do like a study in a lab or something, I was once a participant in a drinking study due to my super high metabolism, and I went through all of these things and drank a lot and went through this lab testing, and they tracked my eyes, and it's a neat experience to go through something like that, but it's really cool to watch it on someone else when you're having them follow that pen, and all of a sudden their eye it's not both eyes, it's one of the eyes. So one of the eyes is looking upward, whereas the other one like instantly snaps down like a rubber band is pulling it right to normal. So it's like their eyes are going in opposite directions. It's very surreal. But anyway, that is kind of similar to what the Adam's apple is going to do. It would be moving normally, and then all of a sudden it'll boom right back to wherever it's somewhere else. It's like a rubber band, and elastic just pulled it right back where it was going to go. It's really kind of a surreal thing, something you probably aren't going to see all the time. This is more of a rarity in deception detection. But anyway, now you are aware of it. I want to thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Deception Tips Podcast. I hope that you'll share it with your friends. Subscribe to the feeds. Check out the Deception Tips videos, the blog, and also take a look at the books that I have available. And as always, tune in next week for a new Deception Tip.